Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be a Q&A. So 2 videos ago I asked you guys to send in your questions to kind of celebrate me hitting 10k, and back when I hit 5k I did a Q&A and then I said whenever or if I ever hit 10k I'll do another one. So that is why I'm doing another Q&A. And thank you so much for all of your questions. You guys sent in a bunch of questions, so hopefully I can answer them all today. And also thank you to everybody who congratulated me. I really appreciate it. I'm just so grateful that you guys watch my videos and you interact with me, so I really appreciate it, and thanks again for all of your questions. I also did ask you guys on Twitter and Instagram to send in your questions, but I'm going to first start with all of the questions that I got on the YouTube video. Let's just get into it. Jay asked, if you could be any animal in the world, what would you be and why? Honestly, I think I would want to be a wolf. I really love them, and I just think they're really beautiful and they're like my favorite animal. So XOXO Fox 232 asked, what is your favorite fantasy / paranormal romance book? I think my favorite one would be Lover Awakened by J.R. Ward. This is the 3rd book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I really love this book. This is about vampires. But also 2 other favorite paranormal / fantasy books that I have are the Ice Planet Barbarian series by Ruby Dixon and Shadows by Kristen Proby. I also really love these 2. But Lover Awakened is like my top favorite. Neurotic novelist Libby asked, are there any couples you think shouldn't have gotten a happily ever after? No, I don't think so. Not that I can think of any, really. Is there any stories you'd want romantic retellings of? This also I can't think of, to be honest. Like, it depends what kind of retellings. Do you prefer series or standalones? Duologies. I prefer duologies over anything. I think that is the perfect mix of having not too many books, but enough to feel like the story's complete, if that makes sense. Laura Emma asked, do you have a favorite romance book where one is a member of royalty? A Nordic King by Karina Halley is my favorite royal romance. I've read a couple royal romances and the only ones I truly love are Karina's. I just feel like it's not necessarily a trope that I enjoy, but A Nordic King is definitely my favorite. Julia HW asked, what upcoming books or TV / movie projects are you most excited for? I was also asked a couple of times like what books I'm excited for, so I will answer that a little bit later. But for TV / movie projects, I'm obviously excited for all of Passionflix's future projects, so Wicked and Fueled and Crashed I'm really excited about. Also Gabriel's Redemption whenever they get around to filming that. I am also really excited for After We Fell and After Ever Happy. I know it doesn't really seem like I'm really excited for those movies, but I am, so I'm looking forward to that probably next year or the year after. I'm really excited for Discovery of Witches Season 2. That comes out in January. I'm very excited for that. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear loud noise like in the basement. They're currently moving, so they're making a lot of noise. What are your all-time favorite books? I got this question a couple of times and some of y'all were really sneaky and like tried to reword it in like fancier ways of me trying to say what my favorite books are. I really do need to do an updated like favorite books of all time video because I did one I think like 3 years ago, but it's really hard for me to pick like my all-time favorite books. So I'm just gonna mention a couple, but Fallen Too Far by Abby Glines is one of my favorites. Also, Some Kind of Perfect by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I really love Bound by Honor by Cora Riley. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne is one of my favorite books. The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker is definitely like a new favorite book of all time. I really love it. Change of Heart by Nicole Jacqueline I really love. Also City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. I can't forget to mention one of her books because her books are definitely ones that kind of really got me into reading. Like after Twilight, I read The Mortal Instruments like a couple years later, and it kind of started my whole reading journey. I'm going to quickly mention 2 more. Monster in His Eyes by J.M. Darhower and The Learning Hours by Sarah Nye are also 2 of my favorites. What books disappointed you? Definitely Beach Read by Emily Henry. This book definitely disappointed me. It did not live up to the hype in my opinion, and I just didn't really like it. I don't know, I couldn't connect with the characters or the storyline. I think I've also realized I'm not a huge fan of writers in books. I just don't find it that interesting for some reason, so maybe that could be a big reason why I didn't enjoy this book as much. Aisha Z asked, which romance trope is your most favorite? And because I cannot just pick one, I would say surprise pregnancy, arranged marriage, and age gap. Those are like my top 3 favorite tropes of all time. Which romance books have you read in the past that is closest to your heart? Again, I'm going to mention a few because I can't help myself, and I'm going to try not to repeat books because obviously I just feel like that gets kind of boring and repetitive, so I have been making sure to not repeat books. Some books that are closest to my heart are definitely More Than Forever by J. McLean. This is the 4th book in the More Than series. No, did I say book 4? It's book 4. Tall, Tatted, and Tempting by Tammy Faulkner. The whole Reed Brothers series in general is really close to my heart. I read it very like early on in my reading career, and I just really love this series. Landon and Shay by Brittany Cherry is definitely a book that is really close to my heart and was one of my favorite books of last year. I think it was actually my favorite book of last year, so I absolutely love this book. I also really love The Rocker Who Needs Me by Terry Ann Browning. This book isn't particularly like the best written book ever. I just really connected with the characters and the romance, and I absolutely loved it. Twisted Emotions by Cora Riley is really close to my heart. Same with Sultry by Lexi Buchanan. This is the 3rd book in the Bad Boy Rockers series. Also Real by Katie Evans. This book is really, really close to my heart. It again is one of the first like romance books I read, and I just really love Brooke and Remy and their whole relationship, so definitely another one that is close to my heart. I'm just gonna quickly mention 2 more because I literally can't help myself in this whole video. This whole Q&A is just gonna end up me talking about all of my favorite books, but On Dublin Streets by Samantha Young, as well as The Mighty Storm by Samantha Towell. These both are really close to my heart as well. And Forbidden and Age Gap Romance, I don't know if you wanted me to recommend some or if you wanted me to pick out of Tormentor Mine by Anna Zeres, Off Balance by Lucia Franco, or Easy by Tamara Weber. And out of those 3, I would definitely pick the Off Balance series. Kelly asked, what is your favorite romance book or series? I kind of already answered that. Like a lot of the ones I mentioned is my favorite. Jules asked, did you ever meet people, even friends, who judged you for reading romance? If so, what is your reaction slash thoughts about it? Honestly, no, I haven't. If they do judge me, it's maybe like silent judging, but I've never had anybody like really judge me or like say things to my face about it. I think because I give off this whole vibe of like I don't care and like, oh, I read romance, I don't care what you think. So I think that's why people don't feel like they have to say something, because I give off the vibe that like I don't care what you think about what I read. If there are people in your life that do judge you or say things about it, I think it's just better to not care. Like, I know it is hard, but you're reading what you love and you're enjoying it, and why let somebody's opinion or thoughts ruin that for you? Just try not to care. I don't know. It's easier said than done. And I'm the type that I wouldn't even fight about it because it's really not worth it. You can think what you want, but obviously I don't think that negative about romance and the genre and everything about it. And instead of fighting with you about it, I could just be reading a really great romance book and be really happy. So Shannon asked, which book out of all the ones you've read has moved you the most emotionally? Again, I'm going to mention 2 books because I can't help myself. But Landon and Shay by Brittany Cherry, definitely part 1 moved me more than part 2. So I would say the first book, and The Simple Wild by Katie Tucker. These both made me cry a bunch. So I really love these books. Golden Girls Lover asked, how many hours a day would you say you read? I don't read every day. A lot of days I won't read at all. And then there are a few days where I will read multiple books in a day. So it just kind of varies. On average, I would say like I maybe read 3 hours a day. Nazain, am I saying that right? Asked, tell us something that people don't know about you. I'm left-handed. I don't know if you guys know that. Nazia asked, what is your favorite book? I kind of already answered that. How did you get the idea of opening the channel? I watched YouTube like forever, and I would watch a lot of beauty gurus, and then I discovered Booktube, and it was very, very, very little at the beginning. Like, there were barely any channels, but I obviously watched the really popular ones, and then I definitely discovered that it was like a bigger community than what it looked like at first. I wanted to start a channel when I lived at home, but I just thought it was really hard. Then I moved out and I wasn't working at the time, so I thought, you know what? I have all this free time. I live alone. Why not start a channel and just see how it goes? And that's just kind of how it happened. And one of the reasons why I made a Booktube channel as well is because there wasn't many romance channels when I started, like 4 years ago. There was barely any romance on Booktube, and I read a lot of romance, so I thought, you know what? Like, why not add to the community and build more of like a romance community? So that is also why I decided to make a channel. Bookworm Shirley asked, how do you find out about new indie authors? Honestly, I just find them on Goodreads. I just scroll through a bunch of things all the time, and sometimes, you know, when you click on a book and it says more books like this or similar books, sometimes I'll click on those lists on the side, and then you can find other authors or books that are similar to the book that you were just looking at, and sometimes you'll find indie authors. Also Amazon. Sometimes I browse on Amazon and I see some indie authors or some authors that pop up that I don't know about, so I look them up too. I just find them wherever, honestly, and Instagram is also a good place too. Miss Angel Eyes 01 asked, what is your all-time favorite series? I kind of already answered that, I guess. Like, a lot of my favorite books are part of series, so I would kind of consider that the same thing. Who is your favorite book casting in a film? This might be a really unpopular opinion, but the whole cast of Vampire Academy, that cast was so perfect. Like, I did not have one complaint about any of the actors. I feel like they fit their characters so well, and to me, like, they were the best casting I had ever seen. It's just the movie wasn't that great. I love the movie, but it wasn't an amazing movie. It wasn't the actor's fault at all. I do feel like it was the writing, and they definitely marketed it as Mean Girls meets vampires, which is fun, but it's not what Vampire Academy is, so I feel like that's where it failed. But the casting for that movie was just perfection. Your favorite food? Honestly, I don't really have a favorite food. I mean, I really like steak. I really like potatoes. I like chicken. I don't know. I don't particularly have a favorite food. SK asked, do you have any grovel romance recommendations? Not that I can really think of. I've been asked this a few times, or like to do a video about this, and I can't really think of any. I would really have to research it a lot, or like look up books that I have read that have that trope, but I can't think of any. Yeah, sorry, I don't have any recommendations for this one. Jolene asked, which 10 books on your bookshelf do you love the most? Again, this is kind of a sneaky way of saying, like, one of my favorite books. Another 10 books that I love are The Deal by Elle Kennedy, The Vincent Boys by Abby Glines, Until November by Aurora Rose Reynolds, Weird Science by Penny Reed. This is the 3rd book in the Winston Brothers series. Legend by Katie Evans I really love as well. A couple more that I really love are Dirty Angels by Karina Halley, Jock Rowe by Sarah Nye, Untouchable by Sam Mariano, Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, and Tinsel by Devney Perry. Rim asked, can you make a video about time travel books? I could, but I only really have one book that I think I've read that has time travel, and that is Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. That is the 2nd book in the All Souls series. Other than that, I haven't read any time travel books, so I would not have any recommendations, sadly. And they also asked, what is your favorite historical fiction books? Again, I have a couple. The Bowling King by Laura Anderson I really, really love. I also really love The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. This was like one of the first historical romances I ever read, and I really, really, really loved it. And another one is The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. Antonella asked, share some of 2021 books that are on your TBR. I am really excited for Murder or Mystery by Penny Reed. This is the 2nd book in Jen and Cletus's new series. Anything that Cora Riley puts out in 2021, I'm excited for. I don't care what it is. I will read it and I'm excited for it. And Serendipity by Kristen Proby I'm really excited about. Claudia asked, what type of music do you listen to? I listen to mainly like rock and roll alternative music. I do occasionally listen to pop. I really like anything but country music. I also do have a currently listening video going up this month. So if you want to know what I'm like currently listening to, you can check out that video. Lindeen asked, do you have any siblings? I have a brother and he is 2 years younger than me. Oisika? I'm probably butchering your name. I'm so sorry. What is your favorite character slash hero slash heroine from Cora's Mafia world and why? Honestly, I'm probably gonna say Nino and Kiara. I just really love them. I think I just really enjoy the way that Cora wrote them. I don't know, there's just something about that couple that I really, really love. Kiana asked, have you read any Kendall Ryan Hot Jocks series? And it seems similar to Off Campus. I have read the first 2 books in that series and I gave them both 3 stars. I don't really think they're similar to the Off Campus series, and I just don't feel like that series is really memorable at all, but the Off Campus series is like so much better. Anna asked, a book that got you out of a reading slump. I never really get into reading slumps. It's either because I'm too busy to read or I just can't concentrate, and it's not like I'm in a slump, it's just like my brain won't shut off and I can't focus enough to read. I don't consider that a slump. I've definitely reread a couple of Abby Glines' books before. If I do feel like I'm getting a slump or something or I'm having a hard time reading, I'll probably just reread one of her books. And S asked, would you ever consider watching a K-drama? Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it takes a lot for me in general to watch TV shows and movies. So I don't know, I feel like I'm behind on so many other things that I would want to watch first, but I'm not opposed to watching a K-drama. I've heard great things about a lot of them that are on Netflix, so maybe at some point, and if you do have any recommendations of which one I should watch, leave it down below. Kira asked, as far as I know you're single, and I'm just wondering if reading so many romances ever make you feel sad about your own romantic life. I am single. Yes, I would say that I have like pretty high standards because I do read romance novels and it can be pretty tough, but I don't know, that's kind of life, I guess. SK also asked, a few years back you made a video about your most reread books. Can you talk about your most reread books up to this date and why you love those books? I might actually do a whole video about this, but I don't think I have that many that I have reread. Like other than the books I have done for Passion Flicks or for like my after videos, I have not reread very many books in the last little while, so I don't know if I would have any favorites, to be honest. I might do a video about it actually, like an updated video. I feel like there are so many videos that I want to do updated versions of. This is probably one of them, and like a favorite books video I'd love to do an updated version of. Reply on J asked, have you ever considered writing a book? Not really, like I have, but at the same time, like I haven't. I know I could do it if I really wanted to, and I would have ideas, but I'm not really that much into writing. I would rather read. Are you going to watch The Bridgertons on Netflix? Yes, I am hoping to read the book first and then watch the TV show, but I am definitely going to watch it. I don't know if I'll watch it right when it comes out, but I will hopefully watch it like shortly after. So those were all the questions that I got on my YouTube video. Now I will answer some of the questions I got on Twitter and Instagram. So I only got one question on Twitter, and that was from Lacey, and she asked, what's a book that lived up to the hype this year and one that didn't? I feel like I genuinely haven't read a lot of like newer 2020 releases, so I don't really have one that I read that was like super popular or that was super talked about that I really loved, but I do feel like I really loved Undercover Bromance by Alyssa K. Adams. I don't really know if there was a lot of hype about this book, but I do know like before it came out a lot of people were excited about it and were talking about it, and then it came out and people read it and they weren't really into it, but I really loved it. A book that disappointed me is definitely Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker. This book wasn't bad, but it wasn't as amazing as A Simple Wild. It just caused like so much unnecessary drama, and I didn't really like the direction that it went in. Like Calla and Jonah were barely together the entire book, and whenever they were, they just argued about stuff. And I didn't like that whole like father figure that was introduced, like that weird neighbor, I think. He just felt like such a replacement for Calla's dad. I just really hated that. I initially gave the book 4 stars, but the more I think about it, it's like a 3-star book. Okay, so now on to all of the Instagram questions. Protagonitism asked, your favorite book / book series so far? Do you mean for the year or just like my favorites in general? Because my favorites in general, I kind of mentioned a bunch already. They also asked #1 book husband. I think that would either be Ignacio from Monster in His Eyes or Rush from Fallen Too Far by Abby Glines. Those are like my top 2 favorites. Makasha Reeds asked, what is your favorite type of video to make? I really love doing book hauls, and any of like my Passion Flicks reviews I really love doing, and my like monthly book releases videos. I know they're super short, but I actually really love filming them and editing them. I really love any type of video that I make that I had a fun time filming, I also had fun editing, and then I had fun putting it out and reading your guys' response to that video. But typically like book hauls and Passion Flicks videos are like my favorite to make. Which video of yours are you most proud of? Definitely all of my Gabriel's Inferno videos, like whether that's a trailer reaction or like my reviews. I really loved making those videos and I really loved doing all of that. I also really love all of my after videos, like even my after movie updates. I loved doing those. I know they're not really like anything special, but I definitely really am proud of those videos for some reason. Does your family watch your videos? If so, what do they think? Not my immediate family. They don't watch my videos. I'm not sure about like my aunt and my cousin. I don't know if they actually watch my videos, but everybody knows that I have a YouTube channel and that it's about books. They think it's great. They are happy and proud of me, and they know I work really, really hard on my videos, but they don't watch any of them. None of my family members are readers, so they don't really have a reason to watch any of my videos. What do you do besides YouTube? Like what job? I work at a clothing store, so I work in retail. Do you ever plan on writing a book? If so, what genre? I kind of already answered this. I don't have any plans to write a book. If anything, I would write a TV show or a movie. I'm much more interested in script writing than I am like book writing. How much do you spend on physical books, like an average? Per month, I would say it fluctuates, but I would say it's anywhere from like $50 to $100 on physical books. That's like a good month though. Sometimes I don't even buy any books, and then sometimes I'll just buy like a couple. So it depends, but I would say like roughly around 50 to 100. Amy's Book Addict asked, what's your top 3 favorite books of 2020? I feel like this answer might change when it actually comes to me doing my top books of the year, but the 3 that definitely stand out to me right as of this moment is The Dominator by D.D. Prince, Engagement and Espionage by Penny Reed, and of course The Simple Wild by Kaya Tucker. Which authors did you discover this year? Definitely D.D. Prince was a new discovery for me this year, and Brie Porter. A trope you find underrated? I don't find this trope underrated, but it's hated like a lot, and that is the surprise pregnancy trope. I really, really, really love that trope, and so many people hate it. I understand why people hate it, like for good reason. I totally understand, but I just feel like sometimes y'all are too a little aggressive with your hate on that trope. But I feel like maybe a trope that's underrated is like the siblings best friend, or like brother's best friend, if that makes sense. I feel like that trope is really underrated, and I really love that one. That Random Dancer asked, when do you think you'll stop making YouTube videos? I don't know. Honestly, I feel like that could be really up in the air. I don't know. Maybe I get married and have kids. I don't know if I would still make YouTube videos. I'm not sure. JNSA84 asked, any upcoming romance that you're excited for? I kind of mentioned a few already, but I'm really excited for The Bride Bet by Tessa Dare. This is the 4th book in the Girl Meets Duke series. Oh, and they also asked, do you read historical romance? If so, which ones do you love? Pretty much just answered this, but I really do love the Girl Meets Duke series by Tessa Dare. I've also read a few Lisa Kleypas and have enjoyed those ones as well. but I definitely need to get more into historical romance. That is a genre I'm super intimidated by, but I have a lot on my TBR that I want to read. It's just I actually have to read it, but I do enjoy historical romance whenever I do read it. Eden White asked, are there any books you have regretted reading? Probably The Girls by Emma Cline and Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. I just didn't really care for those books. They were kind of pointless. I don't know why I read them. Like, I don't know why I didn't DNF them, because I didn't like them. And it was more like I just didn't get them. I didn't get the point of them. And at that point, I was just kind of trying to read some popular books or some books that a lot of people were talking about. And I knew that they weren't my genre. Like, I knew they weren't gonna be my thing, but for some reason I still wanted to give them a try, and I did not like them. I still own them, but too lazy to grab them now. And Staff asked, would you recommend A Secret History by Donna Tartt? Is it fast-paced or slow? I would totally recommend A Secret History. I absolutely love that book. I know I didn't mention it in like any of my favorites, but I do really, really love it. I feel like it is really slow-paced, and you really have to like absorb every single word and like every single thing that happens in that book. There's enough intrigue that makes you want to keep reading, so it's not like boring where you want to put it down, because it still keeps your attention. It's a lot to absorb, but I totally recommend it. It is one of my favorite books of all time, definitely. HEA Booktubes asks, how long does it take you to edit your videos? Depending on the length of the video, if the video is like 20 minutes, that'll take me like an hour and a half to 2 hours. If the video is longer than 20 minutes, it'll take me like probably 3 to 4 hours to edit. They also asked, do you have a go-to coffee drink? If I'm ordering anything from Tim Hortons, it is an ice cap. That is like the only coffee I drink from Tim Hortons. But usually I just make my own like iced coffee with sugar and cream, and it's cold, and that's all really I drink for coffee. Mary asked, I was wondering how much time it takes you to read 100 pages. I would say an hour to an hour and a half per 100 pages. And the last question is, how is that even possible to read so many books, like 2,600 books? It seems so unhuman. They're definitely referring to my Goodreads. So if you look on my Goodreads, it says I have read 2,600 books. But also if you look on my Goodreads, you will notice that I joined Goodreads in 2012. So I've read that many books in 8 years. To me, it doesn't seem like a lot. Like almost 10 years, over 10 years, I've read 2,000 books. I don't feel like that's a lot. So that is it for this Q&A. Thank you so much for sending in all your questions. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!